Hey, this is Brent Leary, and I'm back here in Atlanta talking to Tee Rowe, who is the president and CEO of America's SBDC. T, thank you for joining
Hey,
me today.
thanks a lot, Brent. Pleasure to be here, man.
So, I got a chance to talk to Jason Dorsey. He told us a little bit about
Right.
the study that you guys teamed up to do. I want to get your take on that, but before we do that, maybe you can give me a little of your personal background.
Okay, well, I'm president of America's SBDC, which is the association that represents small business development centers. In small business development centers, we have 63 networks and 1,000 centers nationwide. So, all across the country, mostly at colleges and universities and chambers of commerce, and we provide free one on one consulting to small business owners.
Can't beat that.
Free's a great one. That's the best four-letter word.
So, yeah, exactly. So, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to do this study with Jason.
Well, we recognize, our client base is always changing. So we have to modify our business model to go along with it. Who are we counseling now? How are we counseling them? And we have a lot of millennials actually coming up as business advisors at SBDCs. So we recognize, okay, we have new folks working in our system and they're working with new folks. And we really needed to know, how do these folks think? How do they deal with business practices? We had anecdotal kind of feelings about how things were working. You know, we looked at how all of the millennial, like Jason said, you talk about millennials, and we were seeing completely different perspectives. We said we need to pin this down. We need to find out what they're really thinking, what they really need, and what they really want.
So you had the opportunity to speak to or to go through this data and get some concrete information.
Yeah.
What were the most surprising things? Maybe the
Well,
things that you were totally against what you were
yeah.
originally
Well,
thinking.
the big thing that we pulled out of it is, wow, 61% of millennials think that having a small business is the best form of job security. And we looked at that, and that actually followed a trend, because that shifts over generations. You go to boomers, then Gen X, and then millennials, and you see that number has continually moved up and up.
Mm.
And millennials, yeah, they want to own small businesses. They think that's where their future lies, and more to the point, they just want a little help figuring out how to do it. And that was the other thing we pulled out, is 3/4 of them were ready to do it if they knew where they could go to get help.
Mm.
And for us, that's like, hey, I guess it's time to stop being a best kept secret.
Well, talk about a little bit about, now that you have some of these findings, and you kind of have a better understanding
Right.
of millennials and their entrepreneurial dreams and kind of aspirations, and you know they need help.
Mm-hmm.
But millennials don't go to help the way
Right.
that old folks like
Yeah.
us do. So talk a little bit about what kind
Yeah.
of changes that you think you're going to have to go
That's
through in order to help these folks.
Yeah, that's the next step, is and we've been doing this already, but putting a greater emphasis on online learning tools, and a greater emphasis on learning about the different ways people are accessing capital, because that was one of the huge things that came out, was people view capital as the big barrier to starting their own small business. And at small business development centers, that's kind of our sweet spot. Last year, we helped small businesses access $4.6 billion in capital.
Mm.
So we can help with that. But for us, it's learning now, and we had a panel on this in our last annual conference. Online alternative financing. How does this work? What are the pitfalls? What are the advantages? Because we recognize millennials don't necessarily want to dress up, put on a tie like me, and go to a bank. They just want to do it on their phones, and that's fine.
Mm.
But what we need to do is be able to tell them, okay, if you're going to do this, here's what to look for, here's what to look out for. So all of that is how we're using the study to move our resources and begin to shift our focus.
So, when you think about millennials and their aspirations, are they vastly different from a foundational perspective of what their parents and grandparents may have been?
Well, yeah, they have a more entrepreneurial mindset, a different focus. I mean, if you look back at boomers, people my age, there's more of that work for the same company and continue on attitude. And that's very different with millennials. Men and women doesn't matter. The only difference we find between men and women is the women are a little more risk averse and they're a little more focused on planning, which is great because over 45% of our clients are women. And that's what we like to do, is help people plan and make sure that they're organized and ready. The biggest thing about starting a small business is always making sure you've got a plan, making sure you know where you're going. The hardest part we find about accessing capital is most people don't know how to talk banker, but they also don't know exactly what they need to get started. It's not sometimes as big a hurdle as you'd think, and particularly, as Jason was telling you, for millennials and the kind of businesses they run, very low capital intensive type of businesses.
What about millennials' expectations for entrepreneurship? How do they compare and contrast to their traditional?
That was actually kind of cool and amusing. But I'll let you. I'm going to do the same tease as Jason, and that is, you got to look at the study, because you'll be surprised at what you find out. Deloitte Touche did that study recently on millennials in the workplace and what they want to see and what they want to accomplish. And if you look at our study, you see a mirror in that what they want is focus and control for themselves.
So, since you teased it,
Yeah.
where can people go to learn more about the study and learn more about America's SBDC?
Yeah, go to our website, americassbdc.org. That's two S's in the middle. And the study's up there. You can also locate the small business development centers in your area, and go there, get the help and knowledge you need.
T, thanks for your time
Hey,
today.
thanks, Brent. Appreciate it, man.